Hello, everybody, and welcome to our November Lunch Bunch program. We're very excited to see so many familiar and new faces in the group. Today's going to be an absolutely wonderful panel. For those of you who don't know me, I'm John Griffin, and I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement here at the School of Mines Foundation. If this is your first time attending Lunch Bunch, then welcome. We are a wonderful group and are excited to have you. And for those of you who are regular attendees, and I see many regular attendees, thank you for your continued interest and support. We always enjoy seeing everybody on these monthly events. We are enjoying a very busy fall semester here. We have a number of holiday festivities planned out for all of our ore diggers. So no matter almost where you're at, we have holiday parties planned out, whether you're in Oklahoma City, which is our first one, in Midland, Texas, Washington, D.C., Boston. A bunch of festivities are coming up very quickly. And for those of you who live here in Colorado, the Denver holiday party is taking place on December 15th at Coors Field, which is really cool. So make sure you check out that information and come on out if you're free. It's going to be a great event, and we always love seeing so many faces out there. Also, we are full of Ore Digger pride at the moment as the Mines football team remained undefeated in the regular season and are now going into the NCAA Division II playoffs as the #1 seeded team in the nation, first time in history. And the Ore Diggers' first playoff game will be here at home at Mines on November 25th. So make sure you come on out for those tailgates that we're planning, as well as the game if you are in the area, and also if you're needing a little bit of a getaway activity from all the Thanksgiving festivities that you'll have the day before. Details about all the holiday parties, football, as well as all the other exciting opportunities that we have planned out can be found on our website, which is weare.mines.edu. All right. We're glad that you're here with us today for this event. Before we get started, there's a few housekeeping items that I need to address. The first is if you have questions during this program, please make sure you put those in the chat so that you don't forget them. Or at the very end of this section, we are going to have a Q&A where our panelists will answer all the questions you have. So either make sure you remember your question or put it in the chat and we'll get to it at the end of the program. Also, all of our lunch bunches are recorded and can be accessed on our lunch bunch page at our alumni website. So if you've missed one or there's any amazing content that happens today that you want to check back out, you can find those on our website. And we have a great catalog of all of our lunch bunches from when it first started back in 2021. So great archive right there. And as always, if you have any future ideas for speakers or topics that you're just dying to hear from or curious about, please let me know. Send it to my team, send it to Ruth or myself. We'd be happy to arrange that, and we would love to have those ideas. All right, so now for the important items. Today, we are very excited to welcome a spectacular panel. We are joined by Dr. Sid Saleh, Dr. Leah Franklin, and Todd McLean. Sid is the director of the McNeil Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, as well as an associate teaching professor within our Engineering and Design Society department. Dr. Leah Franklin is our associate director of the McNeil Center, and Todd McLean is the managing director for business enterprises here at the Mines Foundation. What a wonderful group to have on screen with us. This team, along with a few other key players, lead the charge for Mines' entrepreneurship and innovation initiatives. Mines is set to become a top producer of graduates who have the skills and mentality needed to develop innovative solutions to modern problems, and we are already well underway for that goal, in large part thanks to this group that are joining us today. But here soon, construction is going to be completed on both the Beck Venture Center and the Labriola Innovation Hub, and our capacity to embolden creativity, collaboration, and business or product development on our campus is going to grow exponentially. It's an exciting time for Mines, and today's panelists are at the cutting edge of it all. So with all of that past, and that is enough of hearing from me, so I would like to welcome Dr. Leah Franklin to center stage to get this November Lunch Bunch officially started. Leah?
Great. Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. We're so glad that you're here today. In the spirit of being innovative, our two directors have our two newest members of the E&I ecosystem. Both have just had new babies. So I'm going to start with Victoria Bill, who is our director of our innovation, Labriola Innovation Hub. And I've got a video pre-recorded of her. And then next I will go to Zach's presentation. We're expecting them back soon, but we didn't want to leave them out of this presentation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Bill. I am the director of the Labriola Innovation Hub. And today I'm excited to talk to you about the vision for the hub and its launch, as well as some of the exciting resources that are available. I'm sorry I'm not able to join live. I am actually pre-recording this because I am planning to go out on maternity leave. The vision for the Labriola Innovation Hub is that it is a cutting-edge resource and makerspace for all MIND students, regardless of their major or discipline. It is a multi-use, multi-purpose space for hands-on learning, building, constructing, physical prototyping. And again, I'll talk more about the resources in just the next slide. But students will enter from their very first day on campus, their very first course. The Cornerstone Design course, CSM 101, or their honors program will all encourage hands-on learning in the space. They'll have the opportunity to continue to learn and prototype through their second, third, and fourth year, and then participate in their multidisciplinary capstone experience in the Labriola Innovation Hub and the shops building next door. So as students, alums, or visitors enter Labriola, I will walk you through some of the resources first on the first floor and then on the second floor and talk about how students will be able to utilize those resources. One of the goals of the space is for it to be welcoming and exciting for students to hang out in. When they first enter, there's an enormous glass atrium with a cafe where they'll be able to get espresso drinks and coffee anytime they're working in the building. There'll be the Labriola offices in the McNeil Center storefront. There's a large metal shop, full service, a large wood shop, the Thorson Capstone Design Studio, a tool checkout crib, composites lab, electronics lab, the Cornerstone Design Space, and additional project build space. Moving up to the second floor, there are many different open student workspaces and study spaces, as well as student conference rooms where they can meet with clients, alums, visitors, or even just their project teams. There's a 3D print makerspace with lots of soft prototyping tools, as well as an array of 3D printers. We also have a software makerspace, which is a reconfigurable space that can also be used for student events and workshops. There is a space for adjuncts for the Cornerstone and Capstone design programs, as well as one classroom, which will host advanced prototyping, design, and manufacturing courses. I'm happy to announce that the building is on track for occupancy in December, and the building will launch and open for students in January of 2024. We'll have a large group of student staff. The focus of any academic makerspace in the Labriola Innovation Hub is on being a peer teaching and learning space. So all Colorado School of Mines students will have the opportunity to come and learn how to utilize these advanced prototyping and machining tools that are available in the various shops and makerspaces. In our first semester, we'll be directly supporting over 1,500 undergraduate and graduate students through the courses that I mentioned, as well as various design and prototyping courses across the curriculum. But we really see this space being a key part of the MIND Signature student experience and the crown jewel of campus. And I'm excited to see that grow throughout the next academic year and the years to follow. The focus again, through sort of that peer teaching model and the way that the space is designed, is to really build community, to make it a multidisciplinary space where students connect with each other. And I'm excited to do that with all of you. Thank you. It was nice to meet all of you virtually, and please feel free to reach out to me directly if you're interested in connecting or learning more about the Labriola Innovation Hub.
All right, thank you so much, Victoria, for that. And let me get Zach's presentation. Stand by here.
Hello, everyone.
Yes.
My name's Zach Bennett, and I'm the incoming director of the Beck Venture Center and the Minds Venture Program. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I had to join you virtually today because my wife and I just had our second kiddo, so I'm still finishing up my paternity leave, but I will be back in person here in. So anyhow, let's get into what we got. So first off, the building. This is a rendering of the Beck Venture Center. It's starting to look a lot like this. Construction is almost complete. Like I said, I'm going to personally be moving in there in a couple weeks, and we'll be soft launching in January. It's an amazing space. The first level is all about collaboration, about bringing the energy into the community. We have a coffee shop on this side, a classroom here where we'll be hosting so many of the most innovative classes on campus, and then a big event space that has this hangar door that opens up, and we can turn the entire first floor to one giant event space as a place to bring that whole community in. And then the top two floors are co-working. That's where we're going to really bring in companies, entrepreneurs, service providers, venture capitalists, all the people, and just make it an awesome place to be, to work every day, to have meetings, to bring in clients, potential investors, everybody, and really activate this whole space. So this is just a place where people are excited to come every day to see what sort of creative collisions might happen and what they can build. So a lot more to come on the building, but that's a starting point. And now let's talk about the programming. So, that's the Beck Venture Center, and now this is more the Minds Venture program that we're talking about. One of the big things that we're going to focus on is access to capital. That's one of the top things that I hear from all the startups, and I know from being a serial founder myself, getting money is one of the hardest things. So some of the things we're going to focus on are twice a year publishing a lookbook. And this is for all the members of the Venture Center that are looking to raise money in the next 6 months. So, all the venture capitalists, investors, everyone who's interested, and I literally have, and then we'll have a searchable database that people can link to on the back end of that. But from there, we're going to take somewhere between 8 and 10 companies, twice a year, and really elevate them up and put them on stage at a big demo day. We'll have an application process, so we're only getting companies that we think are going to be successful and are ready, and then we're going to give them a lot of pitch support to take them to the next level. And then we're going to throw a big event. A real celebration for the investor community to come together, and a way to put Minds on the map with that community, and also just show people that it's possible, what people can do and take things to the next level. And as companies start getting funded and things start taking off, this will really get a life of its own. So again, this is going to be something we're going to rinse and repeat twice a year once we really get that going. In addition, we're going to make it an awesome place for investors and venture capitalists. We're going to have one office in the Venture Center that's every day going to have a different VC in there just taking office hours. And people can come in, pitch them, ask them questions, all those sorts of things. And there's a ton of interest from the broader community. We're also going to have a couple times a year investor panels so people can get a flavor of lots of different investors all in one go. And then, of course, we have to talk about the free money session, as I call it, where we just educate people on all the non-dilutive sources of capital. The next part that's super exciting, and this is where I started and where I hope many of you can get involved, is in our mentors and advisors. And we've had that for years, but with the Venture Center opening and the Beck Venture Center building coming on, we're going to really start to formalize this. Twice a year, we're going to do a very structured mentorship program where all of the companies that are looking for a mentor can raise their hand, and all of the mentors that want to take on another company can volunteer as well. And we'll do a big speed dating program so that everybody can, have a bit, an opportunity to meet people, see where there's a match, see who they might want to work with. And then we're going to get structured around it. It's going to be a 12-week program, and, mentors and companies will meet roughly once a week, and it's going to be time boxed. So there's no awkward breakup at the end. If, you're a mentor and that company just isn't exciting you like you thought it might, or they're not able to, use your advice anymore, then you can move on, and vice versa. A company isn't seeing the value of a mentor, it's not an awkward situation, and then they can, continue to repeat the program every time as long as they're a member of the Venture Center. And then if they have an ongoing relationship, amazing. I would love it if as many of you as possible that want to get involved would consider becoming mentors and advisors. A couple cool things that we'll give you for the ones local here in Colorado is we'll give everyone a membership to the Venture Center. We want people to be there in the space, working, having meetings, just being part of the community. And then again, once a year, we're going to throw a big party to show our appreciation for all the mentors. So again, super exciting here. Would love to get you guys involved. And then the next one is service providers. After capital and mentors and advisors, the next biggest thing I hear from all the startups is, well, how do I get access to an accountant, a lawyer, marketers, lead gen, all these different things that are so important to a company, but aren't a big enough deal where companies need to hire them full time. So we're going to have, again, a very structured program. And for all these different disciplines, we're going to have somewhere between 5 and 10 people, 5 or 10 partners that we bring in that are available. They'll be hosting office hours. They'll be on panels so people can like try out a bunch of different lawyers or accountants or just kind of get an idea. Again, with the office hours, they have to be available for people to come in and just ask them any questions for free. And then we're going to make it easy for people. We're going to have pre-negotiated contracts and, starter packages with all of them so people know exactly what the costs are going to be up front. They don't have to negotiate. And then we're going to have a rule where if anybody is being aggressive or unethical with our members, then they're out. So it's going to be a self-policing environment. And as we build it, we're just going to have a really amazing group of partners around the Venture Center that are giving back and, as a way to form business relationships and those things, which is, everyone knows up front, but we're going to make sure it's really a community of giving first, as opposed to being a very transactional environment. So super excited about this part. And then the last area I want to highlight is company formation. This is something that, I spent 20 years in New York in the startup scene there, another 3 years here in Colorado. I go to all these startup events, and when people are asking for something, the biggest request I hear is people with a business idea looking for technical co-founders. And I always want to raise my hand and say, I have a whole campus full of them out here in Golden. So this is part of my mission here, is to try to connect the amazing technical entrepreneurs that we have here at School of Mines with some of the other entrepreneurs that bring in some of the skills that startups need as far as some of the go-to-market, marketing, sales, those types of areas, and try to bring those together and help Mines, step up to creating companies instead of going and just working for everybody else who's building companies. So again, we're going to be doing some speed dating events to help bring together School of Mines entrepreneurs with a broader front range entrepreneurship community to try to spin off some companies that'll then be our feeder for capital, service providers, mentors, advisors, and really start moving things up the chain. So again, that's just a sampling of the amazing things that we're going to be doing and the programming at the Venture Center, and much more to come on that. So just the last couple things. So how are we running it? How are we going to operate the Beck Venture Center and the Mines Venture program? It really is going to be a membership model. So our goal is to have 1/3 of the members as students, both undergrad and grad students, 1/3 as faculty and alumni, and then 1/3 as partners and people from the broader startup community. So we get a real mix, all the way from the super green student entrepreneur that is really just starting their journey to a lot more established companies that just want to be part of the community, tap into the resources and environment that we have there. So it's going to be just an amazing mix. And then as far as our model, well, what do people get? It's very much a paid model where people are paying to be members. So a big part of it is office space. We have 2 floors of co-working, so there'll be private offices, reserves desks, a lot of hot desks, a lot of soft seating and open space to work in. And then again, the areas, the programs we went to, the access to capital, having those deep relationships with VCs, those events, the pitch books, mentors, advisors, service providers, things we covered, the additional, events and programming. We're having a big grand opening, those types of things. And then more broadly, the community, what people are there. So that's what people get. And we think there's going to be a lot of energy and excitement coming around. So as far as timing goes, this is probably the biggest question I've been getting is, wait, we've been hearing about this for years. When's it opening? Soon, very, very soon. Like I said, I'm coming back from paternity leave next week, and I'm going to be getting into the building sometime shortly after Thanksgiving. That's when we're really going to be commissioning, shaking things out. We'll be soft launching in January. So with that, we'll start to get the cafe going, get the espresso machines fired up, get the public spaces going. The classroom is set to open for the fall. So we're going to have some of our most innovative classes in the building there to get the budding entrepreneurs coming there a couple times a week anyhow. And then we're going to be starting to get some of the early members moving in. We already have a bunch of people that are signing membership agreements to really be working in and out of the space. The initial events to note, on February 7th, we're going to be restarting our bi-weekly startup forums. So that's going to be an exciting event for the members and people that are interested in the startup community to just have a lot of different educational topics every couple of weeks. And then the big one, everyone put on your calendar, April 4th is the grand opening. So we're going to have a giant celebration that evening, tours of the building, all sorts of activities, speakers, those types of things, and would love for any of you that are in the area or want to come to the area to be part of that. And that's when we'll consider things fully open, and we'll hopefully have our operational legs under it, and all of that. So again, so much exciting things going on. How can we get you involved? There's really just a few things that are top of mind. First off, come to our events. Come to the forums, come to the grand opening. We're going to be layering in lots more events as we come in, or just come and check out the space. If you're alums, I'll definitely give you a pass to come in and work as long as you want as we're getting started until we're getting full at capacity. Also volunteer, like I mentioned, mentors. If you want to give back in a way with your time, we would love to have as much involvement as we can. Or if you are an entrepreneur, you're starting a company, or you know someone who is, send them our way if you think they might be interested in these services, or if you think that they may want to get a membership and work out of the space. And of course, we're here with our friends from the foundation, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the great opportunities to help keep all this going. We still don't have a naming sponsor for the venture program. We have Michael Beck and his family that have made the generous donation to actually name the building and help subsidize the space. Right now, there's no one helping subsidize the actual operations. So that's something where we are looking for a naming sponsor for the venture program. But there's all sorts of other levels available as well. We have some great spaces in the building, the Shark Tank, the Idea Cafe, the Boardwalk, and many others that still would love to have a name attached to them, someone who wants to be involved with the startup community. Also the programming, mentorships, investors, professional services, the founder dating, all of those are looking for sponsors. And then finally, the students. Like I said, a third of our members, our aspiration is to have as students. And, it's been almost 30 years since I was a student. And I remember, one thing I do remember is not having very much money, especially when you're starting a company and you'd much rather have capital go other areas. So that's another area is we're looking for people that want to sponsor student memberships so that students can have access, and we can offer a lot of scholarships and, free or close to free access for the student entrepreneurs. So again, just the tip of the iceberg. If you're interested in any of these, you can email me and my team at startup@minds.edu, and we can get you plugged in.
Great. All righty. Thank you so much, Zach, for that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Todd. Todd McLean, the floor is yours.
Great. I'm going to share my screen here. And I want to know, can everybody see that fine? Great. Thanks for the thumbs up. I want to know who scheduled me to follow Victoria and Zach. That is a really tough one. And then Sid gets the benefit of following me. So everybody's going to look like a rock star. In the vanguard, really, of STEM-focused innovation, Minds Venture Fund One is a strategic venture which is deeply woven into the fabric of what we can all be so proud of, and that is our R1 Research University here at Colorado School of Mines. I'm going to make sure I can flip through my screen here. The pioneering collaboration that's going to take place, and we certainly heard that in the voices of Leah, we've heard it in Zach and Victoria, signifies the value of our rigorous applied learning that we have here. Now, financial backing and in turn embodying what will be a commitment to translating cutting edge research, inventions, and technology breakthroughs into solutions that I believe will redefine industries and probably reshape the future, or at least shape it differently. So operating in tandem with the university's entrepreneurialism and innovation programs, MVF1, Minds Venture Fund 1, will really fuel scientific discovery, and I believe foster a culture where the spirit of innovation will hold the ability to really transform the world in many ways. Why do I think that? Well, we've got, number one, 40,000 alumni that claim and have an affinity with Colorado School of Mines, and you can see all the other wonderful rankings that we have here. So Minds Venture Fund 1 will thrive in close collaboration with our very prestigious R1 Research University, capitalizing on the institution's elite research capabilities, our cutting-edge laboratories, you just heard about some of those from Victoria, and a dynamic ecosystem of STEM scholars and experts. And this alliance, which really highly values academia, is a fusion of knowledge and ambition aimed at propelling many of the groundbreaking ideas that we're going to see come out of really well-accomplished departments. The fund's commitment to research-intensive venture will extend beyond the financial consideration, or what Zach called transaction. It embraces the belief that each breakthrough, each discovery has the potential to revolutionize industries and address global challenges while bettering the human condition. So investments made in MVF1 aren't just transactions, they are endorsement of ideas and inventions that do have the power to change the world. And if you look at this slide, you can see all the things that are really relevant in our world today: energy, fossil fuel and nuclear, to extraction, mining and refining, to renewables. Think of the advancements that you all hear about daily: artificial intelligence, software, data science, quantum computing, biomedical, biomechanical, to the interesting advancements that are taking place in advanced materials and additive manufacturing, including areas like ceramics and metallurgy. And of course, hydrogen is often in the news headlines, along with other chemicals and reactions associated in the area of renewables. So we have a wonderful foundation to build on that I do want to say thank you to all of you that have been a part of building the foundation that allows us to be a part of this, because what it's going to create is a seamless integration with the university's entrepreneur and innovation program, which we can give a great deal of thanks to Nancy and Leah and Sid for paving the way for us in the E&I program. So MVF1 will act with its colleagues in creating a culture that really does rever innovation as a force for positive change. It will be about startups. It'll be about bringing ideas to life. It'll be about nurturing those solutions, as Zach described, and having mentors and resources available right there at the Beck Venture Center that will address pressing issues that face our world today. And this completion of the ecosystem with Minds Venture Fund 1 is a really key component to it. Just to put that in another different display for you, you can see here how that ecosystem will be bolted together, from McNeil to Labriola to Beck, and all the different components that will take our interdisciplinary disciplines and allow them to collaborate very well in a well-planned and well-structured environment. What we'll be bringing into this environment will also be pre-seed and seed funding for innovation and bringing those ideas to life. It will also couple the mentorship that you've heard about along with the funding that's necessary in what's often called the Death Valley of funding, where you begin and need seed funding and pre-seed money, and then ultimately get to what's called priced rounds or Series A funding and beyond that. So what we'll be doing is building upon this network of an R1 institution in STEM and all the other benefits that come around STEM at this university, and affecting the globe on a pretty large scale. So the Minds Venture Fund 1 will have an investment committee, and I want to give great recognition to these individuals that you see on the screen right now: Mike, who's been mentioned, April, David, Michael Coors, and Tom Nickloff. They have all been behind the scenes for the last 2 years, contributing their time, their resource, their expertise, a lot of thought capital to bring this all together. They will be the investment committee that all companies that present will go before in order to make a decision. And I will be very brief in my comments on how that process will look, and maybe It'll be a topic for another time, just to be sensitive to the time that we all have here today. The management team is individuals here that you recognize that are overseeing the activities of the Minds Venture Fund 1 and also the general partnership that runs that, as well as the fairly newly created Minds Venture Fund Management Company. We're raising 10 million. We're about 20% of the way there. We're seeking investors with 250,000 plus investment. However, our private placement memorandum allows us to go down to 25,000 for investors that have that level of means to invest. And it's my belief that in the future, we'll have a Minds Venture Fund number 2. Some of the things that you should know about that, how will the funds be spent? They'll be spent over about a 4 to 5 year period, with the portfolio maturing in years 10, but that can be extended into years 12 and 13. You can see the type of investments we'll be making, around $50,000 to $200,000. And I want to focus on the right-hand side of this screen, an ROI, return on investment focused fund plus. Venture capital is known as an arena in finance where you grow companies and you seek a return. And we are seeking a return. We are also seeking to benefit the foundation. The general partnership is owned by the foundation. And that general partnership, when you return your funds to the investors and there's gains made beyond that, the general partnership will take its funds that it gains in those additional gains, those capital gains, and donate them back to the foundation. So we, in fact, have a very unique scenario here where we can capitalize on helping to grow companies to be successful, use those funds to then give back for things such as funding additional scholarships. I know everybody is very excited about that. In my final closing 2 slides, I want to give you just a brief view into what the diligence process looks like so that you have confidence in what we're doing in the venture fund. Initial contact. If you have somebody or yourself wants to enter this program of accessing the Minds Venture Capital Fund, number 1, here's how you do it. Simply call me. My information is going to be available on this last slide. You can reach me here at the university. I'm currently housed today at the foundation. I'll also have an office next to Zach's at the Beck Venture Center. Hope to be in there on the 20th of this month. We go through level 1 due diligence, and you can see level due diligence is understanding the team, the product, the technology. Do they have a prototype? Which, thank you, Sid, for teaching me that. We look for prototypes, we look for prototypes. What kind of advisors, mentors, and board members do they have? Do they understand their market? Do they have a presentation? Some of the basics you have to seek capital. If they do, great, they go to level 2, which I'm going to show you in a minute. If they don't, they need guidance. They need help from people like Zach that have been there, done it. And they can get that at the Beck Venture Center, as you see, or ICOP Corp, or Techstars, or NRail, some of the relationships we have there. And if they get that guidance, yes, they need to come back to level 2 due diligence that I just shared with you, and maybe advance on to level 2. If not, if they don't take that deep dive into building a better business plan, then they may not be a fit. However, we would certainly welcome them back if they wanted to be more serious in discussion. So what does level 2 look like? It's just a deeper dive into things I just mentioned: team, product, technology, market, business plan, financials, marketing and communication, and do you have an exit strategy or not? And in the sake of time, I won't dive into those. If they, in fact, do make it through level 2 due diligence, then they would make a pitch to the investment committee, which I showed you. That investment committee would make a decision, no, it's not a fit for one reason or another. And we would let them know why. We might say you need to go back, do a little homework. We got some more questions, come back for a second pitch. And if they go through that process, then yes, you get funding and you get the terms and valuations and things that are important in that part of funding. If not, then they might need to add more structure. And if they need more structure, they would go back to Beck Venture Center, to our advisors. Maybe we bolt in some of our consultants or fractional executives to help them build a better business plan. And then they would come back to level 2 on an accelerated basis, as I note in this circle, which you can see on the left-hand side. And they'd make a pitch again, and we would hope that then they would be a very reasonable candidate to seek funding from Minds Venture Fund number 1. I very much welcome any questions that you might have, any insights that you might have. Obviously, if you're dialing in today, you have a great interest and a great affinity for Colorado School of Mines, for the foundation, and for this new opportunity that we have to inspire and to hopefully change and make inventions and wonderful ideas become a reality. So with that, I'll say thanks for inviting me here today. Appreciate it and welcome questions post this get together. Back to you,
Great.
John.
Great,
Yeah.
Todd. Thank you so much. Todd, if you'll stop sharing, then our final presenter is Dr. Sid Saleh, the director of the McNeil Center.
Thank you so much. It is going to be hard to follow Todd's amazing presentation here and all the opportunities he's presented there, which is super exciting. And to build on the previous presentations, this is a shot to round out all the different buildings we have, including the McNeil Hall. But today I want to talk to you about the McNeil Center and how we are fitting into this ecosystem. So if you look at this slide, and I hope you can see my screen well. Great, thanks. So in Labriola, as Victoria mentioned, it's a great place to make and build physical stuff and even software. In McNeil, we are going to be responsible for putting on the programming for helping educate people, students, faculty, even alumni who care to learn about entrepreneurship or have desire to start something new. And we're also going to be helping them with all sorts of different ways to kind of accelerate the learning process, not just figure out how to do something, but figure out how to do it fast and more efficiently than they would otherwise. And I'll talk more about that in detail. But the idea is that in the McNeil and Labriola side of things, this is where students learn, and everything is for the benefit of their education. So if they try something and it doesn't work, that's okay. It was all great learning experience. So I want to stress, this is a safe space and place for people to try their new ideas. And if they try 3, 4, 5 ideas and none of them work, it's all great learning, because we know that entrepreneurship is iterative and requires multiple trials. And then the ones that gain traction end up in the Venture Center, at the Beck Venture Center, and they will gain the support to grow and scale as fast as possible. And that's when they take investments. So let me talk a little bit about the difference that we bring to the table, being McNeil, the programs, and then open it up for conversation to see how we can get you all involved. So I want to tell you about how we bring in a little bit of a different approach to innovation. And I want to start out by asking you to think about the time when you were at Minds and you had that really good feeling that you've done something, and you either crushed an exam that was tough, you got a grade you wanted, or started a project and really delivered amazing stuff at one of your companies. I want you to remember that feeling, because I'm going to come back here and show you how some of our alumni that are involved with our program get that feeling again now by being involved in the program. And I think I want to give heads up to Gary Hoffman, who's on the call here. Gary, I'm going to call on you here in a few minutes because you're on one of my slides. So the brand name for our program is InnovateX, and that's designed on purpose to attract students and to catch their attention. And it's pronounced InnovateX, and the idea is to innovate anything. So we don't judge any of their ideas. We don't call out and say, hey, you shouldn't be in this space. There's no money to be made. If it's your idea, it's your idea. We'll let you try it. And again, safe. So we offer 4 credit courses, the typical course, 3 credit course that you would take as an elective or as a required technical elective. We're a required technical elective in mechanical engineering, for example, in quantitative biosciences and computer science, plus at the graduate level in the data sciences master's program. We also offer challenges. And the idea behind those challenges is that if you don't have time to fit in a full semester long course in your schedule, you can take one of our challenges and still learn quite a bit in a very short time. And those could range from anywhere from 3 hours to 3 weeks long. And then if you have traction after one of these courses or events, challenges, then we offer you a space at InnovateX Studio, which is place for companies to demonstrate and continue building what they've started. So in Labriola, you can make all kinds of stuff happen, bring it to life, but you can't keep it there because there's a wave of students after wave of students coming into the building for all the different courses and even the free form kind of experience. But in InnovateX Studio, now you're sort of in that death valley of traction. You're beginning, maybe your idea is gaining traction, but it's not quite on yet. You're not ready to go to the Beck Venture Center and go through Todd's due diligence first level, but you're on to something. So we want to give you that push. And then we have all kinds of clinics, and Leah's leading the effort to have put on a themed living community. We're going to have a space in the dorms where students who are excited about starting entrepreneurial kind of experiences and startups can live together. And finally, we have grants that help them do all of these things I just talked about: scholarships, stipends, you name it. So how we approach things is, and this is pretty relevant here. This is where we make a big difference. If you look outside into entrepreneurship type of education material, books, or the stuff you read about in the press, it's got a lot of noise and a lot of celebration of big money being made, but not really a whole lot of substance. And it's kind of hard to figure out, well, it worked for this person, but they're famous, and I don't know how to translate that to what I'm trying to do right now. So we're focused on taking the best of what's out there, synthesizing it, doing our own due diligence to make sure that when we tell people this is the way to do a business model, this is the way to raise money, to go after your first customer, to validate this or that, that we're making sure that that learning is very rigorous and efficient, so that you're not wasting time messing around. You spend more time testing as many ideas as possible, putting as much effort into that, as opposed to trying to figure out, should I do this or that method or process. And we emphasize real-time validation. So we ask people to go to Labriola Innovation Hub when it's open, make a model, make a mock-up, try it out, get people to kick the tires, test drive it, and get feedback as quickly and as frequently as possible to make sure that you're getting validation to keep going. And that has really produced amazing results so far, which I'll share with you here in a second. So our approach is always to start with a problem, investigate the problem, and then we want to engage people who have that problem that we're trying to solve. These are usually industry people. And as many of you know, the best way to create value is to address a gap or a need or address a problem. So we start with that. We always get interesting problems from the military, from companies, small and large, and that usually becomes the seed of the innovation. We do prototyping, which is the pre-prototype. And that ensures that the students are not focused on just achieving something that may be of less value to others, but rather they get feedback again and then have somebody else decide that this is a prototype that's ready to be scaled. I'll skip that here for a second. These are some of the examples of successful student teams that have evolved into companies. So Orbital Mining, you may have heard of them. They're trying to harness solar power in harsh conditions, specifically on the moon, to support exploration beyond that. And they came out of one of the InnovateX classes a year and a half or 2 years ago, almost now, and they've raised almost $600,000 from NASA. They're going for a final stage in a competition where they could win $1 million more. And then VenB, they're doing retail, big data retail and artificial intelligence type of thing. Austere Environmental, they're helping oil and gas companies clean oil spills. And then we have a student club that's working around theme park innovation. They're trying to come up with creative ways to kind of innovate how theme parks work. And then even different people don't always want to start a startup. So I show you an example of Madison Smith here. She's a student in our data sciences program who got to work on a FEMA problem, had never heard of FEMA before that class, and ended up getting a job with FEMA because they loved her project results and they wanted her to continue working on those results. Finally, Vesmir, this was a Mines alum, Alan Lindsay, who I'll show you a picture of him here in a second. He brought a problem about top picking in oil and gas drilling to class and ended up forming a startup with one of the students from the team and a teaching assistant in that class. So a lot of amazing things are coming out of class. And so in the thinking about it, the vision around this is that here's a chance for people to learn, and if they learn the right things, they try things in a safe space, and they're not taking any risk. They're simply following their passion because we support them in every single way to give them this chance to do whatever they'd like to try in a safe space. In the process of doing that and learning our methodology of achieving this, they're validating their ideas and de-risking them. So the hope is that if startups are going for the Beck Venture Center and the programming that Todd and Zach are going to put together, they don't need a whole lot of extra effort to show that they're on track. They can now use the material that they developed in class, the prototypes, the business models, all that stuff, to show that they're ahead of the game in terms of being ready for funding. This is InnovateX Studio, a space that we asked for to allow our students to bring their ideas to life. So again, in Labriola, they're going to make it, they're going to build it, but in InnovateX Studio, they might demonstrate it to people and keep working on it beyond a couple of hours or so. These are shots of examples of teams that have started startup. This is a team of students who are trying to provide prototyping services to outside entities. This is a student who came out of a class, and he's working with an outside firm to develop what he calls a Fitbit for cows, to be able to track big data on cattle. Here's an example of another one that came out that was out of class about last year. So the gentleman on the left is Colonel Josh Berger. He's the commander of the 140th Maintenance Squadron out of Buckley Air Force Base here in Denver. And the other three are students in the class. And he flies missions. He's actually an active fighter pilot. And he brought in a problem of logistics to help their crew maintain their fleets. And so we've worked on that with students for a couple of semesters. And we've done a lot of work for all sorts of agencies. And then finally, I'll jump to challenges. So I told you we have challenges that last from 3 hours to 3 weeks. This is an example of a challenge that Leah ran. We call it Horse and Gears. And this is for freshmen. So what you're looking at is a picture of 340 freshmen. And this was before they started their first day of classes. We brought them together for an entrepreneurship and innovation challenge that was applied. We applied some of the learning to their local problems. We've done similar things with companies as big as Toyota to kind of help them figure out their user experience. In this case, we teamed up Toyota employees, about 90 of them, with almost the same number of students in a challenge to figure out how to help Toyota improve their customer experience of car drivers. And now I'm going to talk to you about the excitement that I mentioned in advance here. And so I bring up Gary, who I warned you, Gary, but I wanted Gary to tell you all about how exciting it is to be part of this environment that we've created, this ecosystem, right? To be around a bunch of students who are trying to figure things out from scratch. They're trying to work around obstacles, and they're just genuinely interested in using their engineering skills and their science skills to solve real world problems for the military or for companies. It is a joy. I don't know, Gary, if you want to jump in and say something real quick.
Yeah, I have really enjoyed this. When I went to school, we never saw alumni, mentors, anything like that. It was listen to the professor, learn it, try to pass the final, and forget it. And now it's amazing. These students are just totally awesome. And it's really energizing to work with them.
Thank you, Gary. And so Gary's been coming to class because he's local for a while. And also we have Jeff Johnson. So he graduated from Mines 81, his last degree, a master's degree. He came out of Chevron Research, where he ran research there. And he's also in the class. He's also supported us with a nice scholarship endowment for supporting some of these folks. Jeff is in the class as well. Alan Lindsay, I mentioned him to you earlier. So he brought a problem actually to class, and we helped him kind of turn it into, from an idea of top picking that most people told him it could not be done. The students actually got it done. And Alan, right now, as we speak, is working with those students to launch the company that they formed together at the end of the class. And just so you know, we also, surprisingly, to my surprise, we have alumni who are very new alumni, completely on their own, just coming to class to help out. So I'll share with you three of them. So George came out of one of our classes. He's a software engineer with a full-time job. He comes to class on Thursdays. Morgan Cox, he is one of those people who teamed up with Alan to start a company. He was in the class as well and started a company, and he is employed by a company that hired him when he was competing with them. And then last but not least, Marie McCarthy just graduated very, very recently. So how many of you come back to classes you took before, just right after school? So just speaks to the energy, and it's fulfilling, it's fun, it's vibrant, and it's for a good cause, to learn and to do good things, bring good things to society. So I will pause here and see if you would like to comment or ask questions of any of us.
Great. Sid, can you unshare your slides, and then we're happy to open up. And then John, if you've got questions that came in the chat, we're happy to address those as well.
The only question we saw in the chat was a request to see if we could have a campus map shown to
I have it very quickly.
show off where the buildings will actually be physically located for those of you who don't come to campus too often.
All right, let me see if I can make that happen. I don't know. Let's see. All right, so hopefully you can all see my map, and I'll make it larger if I can. All right, so if you look at this right here, then the Beck Venture Center is right here. You see my mouse?
Yes.
And Labriola is right over here, and McNeil Hall is right next to it. So this area right here is going to be called the Innovation District. So this is Labriola, McNeil, and Beck. Other questions?
And for those of you who are trying to orient yourself to campus, Labriola will be closer to Marv K Stadium up there on the north side of campus. Whereas Beck will be here on the south side, a little bit down the street, down 18th Street from both Starzer and Maple Hall, a little bit closer to Marcus and a little south of Green Center. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But campus is growing and changing, and it's a good time to come on back and see all the new buildings and investments that are happening here, especially with the sesquicentennial coming up.
So if you don't have questions, then I'm going to ask you a question. Who is so excited based on what you saw here and just can't stand not getting involved? Good. Nice to see those hands up. Come on, raise those hands up. Thank you all.
Let me make an observation. See, I'm muted. No, I'm not muted. Let me make an observation, and less a question and more something to respond to. I've had a couple of decades in Silicon Valley where everybody wants to recreate the formula, and look closely at UC, at CU Berkeley, and at Cal Berkeley, and at Stanford. And one of the things I see about the formula there is there's a great integration between their technical programs and their MBA programs. And much of the initiative for starting companies comes from the MBA side. Part of it is those programs accept students who have already had 4 or 5 years of experience. The average age coming into the MBAs at Stanford and Cal are 26, 27. So they've got significant work experience before getting into it. And generally, the MBAs tend to be more motivated to start companies, and they sort of find their matches over in the STEM programs and provide more of the fuel there. So if there was something that I had on the wish list for you, it would be that you had a couple of hundred MBA students around that would provide that degree of spark. That looks like the one ingredient that is somewhat lacking in this.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ron. I can jump in and Todd or Leah, if you want to add anything. We have a one-year MBA called the Engineering and Technology Management master's degree. And that is the equivalent of what you're talking about. It's just shrunk because the market for MBAs seems to be kind of turning into more faster paces, if you will. But we're doing that already. We have a very robust and active program that's been around for 20 years, believe it or not. And we recruit quite a bit from that program. Also, we're building bridges to local universities and even ones that are far to combine and team up students from business schools and from other disciplines with our engineering students to help them kind of round out their teams. So what we can't get within Mines, we're going outside of Mines to kind of help bring.
Yeah, that's a great point you make, Ron. You might remember in Zach's presentation, he said that we've got deep technical knowledge, expertise, but we don't have the business acumen side. And as he said, it's a refreshing thing to see because he doesn't usually see that, particularly when he was on the East Coast. He'd say there would be a lot of MBAs come with spreadsheets, marketing plans, brilliant ideas, but they were really seeking that technical expertise, or as you referred to it there, Ron, as looking for STEM expertise. So 100% accurate about that we do see that we've got extraordinary talent in our alumni, our faculty, our students, and the area that you'd have to say is an appropriate weakness to identify is just what you picked up on, Ron, is the business acumen side, go-to-market strategy, market placement, pricing power, negotiating agreements, marketing, communication, all those really important things that make a business fail or succeed. And so that's an area we do need to spend time on, and would more than welcome your input on that.
When you see student companies coming out of Cal or Stanford, you very typically see a team that's a couple of technical people, one finance major and one marketing major. That it's not a team that's made up purely of the technical side.
We could easily have a faculty member, a PhD student, and a master's in our company stack called team. And you're right, you'd say, where does the finance, where does the marketing come from? That's where we're going to have to lean on initially the programs that Sid described, talked about, as well as having a really strong mentor/network available to support that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's a very important item to recognize.
And by the way, Ron, I started out in Silicon Valley. I started in Houston school, but then I got moved to Silicon Valley when Apple bought my startup company, not one I founded, but one I was working for. And so I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley at the right time.
Well, I had Mines undergraduate and MBA at Cal Berkeley, and speak of a culture shock.
Yeah.
That's about as two very different poles.
Well, if you're ever in town, come to my class and watch the culture shock happen right here. Other questions or comments? Thank you, Ron.
I had a question. Is a PPM available for the Mines Venture Fund one?
Sure is. Yeah, happy to get that to you, Kelly. I'll get your email from John or Leah, and I'm happy to share one with you.
Terrific. Thanks.
Happy to connect you both.
And by the way, one of the ways you can contribute is the way Kelly did. A while back, he came to visit, and I learned about his business model, his company's business model. And so I convinced him to sit in front of a camera, and I started asking him questions, and I recorded his explanation of how he runs his business. And that's something we use in class every now and then when people need to learn about the business model that he's developed.
Well, and I can really attest to Sid's class. I think I'm his now 6 years running mentor. So thank you for inviting me back, Sid. I've learned a lot, but I've also seen those students, some of the companies you referenced, come out of it. And I have seen, as we've seen with Marie just recently coming back, only program I think I've been experienced with that I've seen that kind of an engagement post and during.
Thank you for being part of it. other
Okay.
questions.
Y'all, sorry to rain on the parade out here, but we've reached the time, and to be considerate of everybody's busy schedules as we head towards the holiday, I'm gonna have to wrap us up. But great questions, and as Todd mentioned, and as Sid and Leah have said, if you all have any additional questions or want to connect or reach out, please do so. You can reach me directly at jmgriffin, Griffin, at minds.edu. All of our information is on our website as well. And if you have questions, I'm happy to pass that along and connect you with our wonderful panels. So with that, I just want to take the time to thank all of our panelists, Leah, Todd, Sid. Thank you all so much for all your prep for today and for spending your lunch hour with everybody here. Absolutely wonderful and such an exciting time to be at Minds. I
Thank you all
also,
for joining us.
oh yeah. And I also want to thank everybody who attended this section. It was a great event, and we really appreciate you all taking time from your day, from your lunch, what have you, to join and learn a little bit more about Minds. We really appreciate it, and it's always great to see such wonderful participation. The next lunch bunch that we have is going to be our December lunch bunch, and that one is always extremely exciting, as that is our one in-person lunch bunch of the year with the one and the only President Paul Johnson, and that'll take place here on campus. So that will not be virtual in any capacity, so that is only for in-person. If you are in town, please come on by. It is going to be on December 7th. And that has limited seating. So if you are interested in that and that sounds exciting, please make sure you go online and get registered to come out for that. We'll provide lunch, and PCJ will be there to answer all your questions. It's always wonderful. We hope that all of you have a wonderful holiday. And if you plan on attending the holiday parties, please do so. Always a great time to gather the Ore Diggers, and then hopefully see you at future lunch bunches or football games. So thank you, everybody. Wonderful seeing you, and have a great rest of your day.